Hello, it's Dr. Horzempa again, and wanting to talk today about exercise and the aging process. So, what prompted this topic is I read a paper called Exercise Promotes Healthy Aging of Skeletal Muscle. This is from 2016 in the Journal of Cell Metabolism. But in my practice, exercise is definitely something I focus on with all my patients. And, we know that this is the older we get especially, the more we have to focus in on doing the right exercises to make sure that we're not losing muscle mass, strength, and eventually function. So this article was really useful because it looked at primary versus secondary aging and really talked mainly about secondary aging of the muscle. So primary aging of muscle is what occurs due just to the aging process. And doesn't turn out to be as major as people think. This secondary aging is really what can really cause some huge problems in people as they age, and is mainly due to a disease process or something underlying like inflammation. And secondary aging is really what we're trying to prevent. So, because this is the type of aging of muscle that will lead to a big loss of strength, power, and function of the muscle, and may actually eventually land somebody in the nursing home. So, the authors in this paper looked at some really important factors in aging and how exercise improves that. And one is metabolic disease. So this is things like diabetes, prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, hypertension, and obesity, and looked at how exercise improves insulin sensitivity, and glucose disposal, meaning when a glucose load hits the blood, our ability to get rid of that glucose before it causes problems in the body. And exercise can, helped with this, all different forms of exercise. Resistance training seems to improve the muscle, builds the type of muscle that really wants to soak up glucose. Interval training depletes some glycogen, so glucose gets sucked into the muscle to replete that. And aerobic work is kind of that constant contraction of muscle will upregulate something called GLUT4 receptors, which will transport glucose inside the muscle. So it's a good case for healthy aging, and making sure that we're not getting stuck in this whole metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, diabetes problem. So making sure that, they basically say, 3 to 5 exercise sessions a week, mixing aerobic work with resistance training and interval training. The other thing they looked at, though, is in this article is how exercise helps with a part of the cell called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is a part of the cell that produces energy. It's incredibly important for, good functioning of the organism that we have healthy mitochondria. And now we know that mitochondria, dysfunction of mitochondria and loss of mitochondria is actually at the heart of a lot of disease processes. And again, exercise seems to counteract that. We see the way it counteracts that depends on the type of exercise. Resistance training, interval training, and aerobic training do it in different ways. But again, it's a strong case to have different types of exercise which will keep these mitochondria healthy. Some interesting things, though, that the authors mention in this paper is that any age group is going to get benefit from a well-formulated exercise regimen. Any age group, so a person at any age. Now, there does seem to be a time period around the age of 75 where the effects of exercise become less than somebody who is younger than the age of 75. But again, still, that person who's older than 75 will get benefit. It just may not be as much as somebody who's younger. So it's a really strong case for starting exercise. Everyone should be starting a good exercise regimen. Again, 3 to 5 times a week is what the authors really looked at here. And everyone's going to get benefit, but the earlier you start, the more benefit you're going to get. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope everyone has a great weekend.